The 7 ninja swords of Kirigakure. Kirigakure is known as a village that prioritizes physical toughness, cruelty, and the art of efficient assassination. Hundreds of years before the Naruto era, the village developed a unique fighting style, Bloody Mist Kenjutsu. Shinobi were not only trained to use swords, but were taught how to kill in a thick fog, silently, without a trace. It was from the nature of the village that the blacksmiths of Kirigakure created 7 special swords. Not just any swords, but weapons forged from rare minerals, chakra metal, and specific rituals, so that each sword possessed supernatural abilities. It is said that these swords were created by a mastersmith from an ancient blacksmith family, but their identity was erased from history after long wars. The following are the 7 swords. 1. Samehada, the living chakra-eating sword. 2. Kubikiri Bocha, the large, regenerating executioner's blade. 3. Nuibari, the sewing needle sword of death. 4. Kabutawari, the helmet-splitting axe hammer of defense destruction. 5. Shibuki, the exploding paper sword. 6. Kiba, the twin lightning swords. 7. Hiramekare, the twin sword with chakra mode. After the clan wars ended, these 7 swords were handed over to Kirigakure as a symbol of the Land of Water's cooperation, and the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist were formed, an elite force tasked with guarding the swords and upholding the village's tradition. The following are the wielder of the 7 swords. 1. Samehada, the tale of Samehada and its guardians. In the mists of Kirigakure, Samehada is known as a living sword that does not drink blood but chakra, and more importantly, it chooses its own master. Fuguki Suikazan was its first guardian. This cruel giant treated Samehada as a symbol of power. However, he was never truly accepted by the sword. His arrogance and greed slowly drove Samehada away, until it finally chose its own student. In a brief battle, Kisame Hoshigaki killed Fuguki, and Samehada changed hands, leaving a master it never liked. In Kisame's hands, the relationship transformed into a perfect symbiosis. Kisame's chakra suited Samehada's taste, making them like 2 monsters created for each other. In the Akatsuki, Kisame became a legend who merged with his sword, resembling a giant shark. He chose his own end, committing suicide via a school of sharks to protect Akatsuki's secrets. Samehada lost the only master it ever truly accepted. Afterward, the sword was briefly used by Killer Bee, whose Gyuki chakra was favored by Samehada. However, their relationship was temporary. Samehada helped Bee, but never chose him as its true master. And to this day, the living sword continues its search, waiting for a figure who can truly understand its will. 2. Kubikiri Bocho. Kubikiri Bocho is the giant executioner's blade that regenerates itself with blood. Every one of its wielders has always been bound to a violent destiny. Juzo Biwa was the early user, a silent and efficient wielder. He considered Kubikiri Bocho the perfect assassination tool. But his life ended tragically while fighting the 4th Mizukage, Yagura. In that brutal fight, Juzo was cut down and died bathed in blood, leaving behind a sword he could no longer hold. The sword then fell into the hands of Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the hidden mist. With his silent killing technique, Zabuza made Kubikiri Bocho a symbol of his cruelty. Yet he died in the most honorable way, charging into dozens of Gato's mercenaries for Haku. His body was pierced, but his bravery remained eternal. The sword fell, marking the end of Zabuza's legend. Subsequently, Suigetsu Hozuki found and used the sword. For him, Kubikiri Bocho was a step toward his dream of collecting all the Kirigakure swords. Suigetsu remained alive, but the sword was lost during his journey, awaiting a new owner. Kubikiri Bocho continues to change hands, carrying tales of death, honor, and the ambition of every swordsman who dares to lift it. 3. Nuibari. Nuibari, a thin sword like a giant needle, is a weapon used to sew victims alive, a sword that combines speed, precision, and brutal pain. Its most feared wielder was Kushimaru Kuriarare, a swift assassin who toyed with his enemies before finishing them. With Nuibari, he would tie up enemies using chakra thread like puppets. 4. Kabutawari. Kabutawari is a hammer and axe combination, known as the absolute destruction weapon. No shield, bone, or defense of any kind can withstand this helmet splitter. Its wielder, Akabino Jinin, was a rough figure who enjoyed the brutal power of Kabutawari. In battle, he did not rely on complex strategy, only pure strength that crushed anything in its path. Jinin became a nightmare for opponents who tried to defend, as a single swing of Kabutawari was enough to shatter both armor and body. During the 4th Shinobi World War, Jinin was resurrected through Edo Tensei. He once again swung Kabutawari with the same terrifying power. 5. Shibuki. Shibuki is a sword layered with exploding paper, a weapon that turns every swing into a deadly explosion. In the right hands, Shibuki can wipe out groups of enemies in an instant. Its wielder, Jinpachi Munashi, was a true maniac. He lived for chaos, making the screams of his enemies' music and Shibuki's explosions his personal show. In every battle, Jinpachi created a battlefield full of fire, shattered earth and smoke, as if he himself were a walking explosive. But his death came in the most ironic way. In one fight, Shibuki exploded too soon, faster than predicted even for a maniac like Jinpachi. The massive explosion engulfed his own body, destroying him, leaving nothing but the last flash of fire he enjoyed. Shibuki returned without a master, leaving the story that even the master of explosions can be destroyed by his own blast. 6. Kiba. Ameyuri Ringo was the fastest swordsman of Kirigakure, lightning incarnate. With the twin swords Kiba, she channeled natural lightning elements capable of burning and piercing enemies in an instant. In battle, Ameyuri moved so fast that enemies only saw a flash of light before their bodies collapsed. Yet, behind her power, Ameyuri's body was fragile. A congenital illness slowly wore her down, making every mission a gamble with her life. After completing a major operation, her body could no longer withstand the pressure. On her way home, her breathing weakened, but her grip on Kiba never wavered. Ameyuri Ringo died with the lightning swords in her hands. A swordsman who moved like a flash of lightning, yet was extinguished not by an enemy, but by her own body. 7. Hiramekare. Mangetsu Hozuki was Suigetsu's older brother, and one of Kirigakure's greatest geniuses. He had a rare talent, the ability to master all 7 of Kirigakure's legendary swords, including Hiramekare. However, that immense power became a boomerang for him. Using the Hozuki technique in the 7 swords alternately exhausted his body to its limit. At a young age, Mangetsu collapsed from extreme fatigue, his liquid body unable to withstand the pressure of the power he wielded. He died as a legend who shone too quickly. After Mangetsu's era, the sword finally found a much more stable hand, Chojuro. Unlike the previous mist swordsman, Chojuro was shy, gentle, and full of self-doubt, but when Hiramekare was in his hands, his power exploded. With perfect discipline and control, he was not killed by war or ambition. Instead, he grew to become the 6th Mizukage. In his hands, Hiramekare was no longer a symbol of violence but a symbol of change. Hiramekare finally found its safest and most worthy owner. The Boruto era, the birth of a new generation. After all the tragedies, these swords were sealed by Kirigakure. However, a new generation of swordsmen emerged, Kagura and his colleagues. Unfortunately, some of them rebelled, causing great chaos in Kirigakure. After the conflict ended and Kagura died, the swords were returned to storage, and the Mist planned to form a new, more disciplined team that would not be trapped in the cruelty of the past. Okay, that is the history of 7 swords. If you have any opinion, please write down on comments section below. Thank you.